My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Other people want to make friends. I just want to try to make it so you don't lose too much money. My job is not just to entertain, but to educate, teach, put days like today into context. So call me, 1-800-743-CNBC, or tweet me, @JimCramer. To reopen or not to reopen? That is the question. Ideally, we keep everything closed until the federal government massively ramps up its testing and contact tracing capacity. That would be my preferred outcome. But what if we're waiting for nothing? I got to tell you, without more aggressive action from the federal government, we may have no choice but to reopen as the economy spirals into a depression. What does reopening the economy even mean, though? The market's flummoxed, which is one reason why the Dow slipped 457 points today. NASDAQ was down 2.06%, S&P down 2.05%. Right now, most businesses are begging for some direction. Any direction from the government, from the federal government, aside from the handful of dominant players who've already got this situation figured out. Now, I have been pounding the table, because remember, it is mad money. It's not like mad depression. I've been pounding the table on Amazon for months, because it's got the scale, the convenience, and the low prices to take over the world here. Target's figured it out really well, and their online numbers are vastly superior to nearly all of their other brick-and-mortar competitors. I think Walmart stock, too cheap, given that it's got a big digital business with 4,769 warehouses, along with its brick-and-mortar stores that serve as warehouses, of course, and a fabulous food delivery biz. Why? Because everybody's local. There's always a Walmart right near you. Costco knows what it's doing. They took the hit and demanded that all their customers and employees wear masks. It's now a safe place to shop where you can load up on tons of merchandise at bulk prices that simply aren't available online. I think everyone's going to follow suit with a mask. The recent strength in Home Depot is a bit mystifying because the latest quarter was really nothing to write home about. But if you want to take your stimulus check and use it to turn your home office into an actual office, Home Depot gives you the best bang for your buck. By the way, same goes for Lowe's, which is, I think, is putting its pre-Marvin Ellison, he's the CEO, troubles behind it. However, with the exception of these big box retailers, stores, most retailers don't have a clue how to reopen. You know who's got it even worse than the retailers? The restaurants. We know they're trying out all sorts of delivery and takeout initiatives, but it's hard to make money from delivery unless you build your concept around it from the ground up. And that's why Chipotle and Domino's Pizza are really the only ones that are cleaning up here. Chipotle in particular is in great shape. Remember I told you it was going to a G? It's even got the Real Estate Investment Trust playing ball and allowing them to open their extremely lucrative Chipotlanes for drive-thru. Those Real Estate Investment Trust didn't want to do that, but they have to, because these guys are solvent. Unfortunately, that's about it. Almost everybody else in the industry is shut, and it's crushing the economy. I'd be okay with that if our leaders had a plan. But I don't know about you. Doesn't it increasingly feel like that's not an option? So witness like the craziness in California, where some unelected officials keeping Tesla's factory from going full steam, even as the governor's opening up all sorts of higher-risk enterprises like bookstores, clothing stores, and florists. Why are they higher risk? Because they're unregulated. The plating line must reopen puts a huge number of people to work, especially when you consider the supply chain. And it's exactly the kind of factory that can be heavily regulated by OSHA, the agency that handles worker safety. I know OSHA needs more of a backbone. Later tonight, we're going to have Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, on the show, talk about her new bailout package, which includes a worker safety provision that would force OSHA to come up with new safety standards for handling COVID-19. And then all you Musk haters, will you give me a break? You got OSHA in there. Unless you're short the stock, and that's probably your real game. I think what we need clearer rules from the federal level. Enough of this confederacy of rules, which brings me to the real issue. Our country's become a grab bag of state and local regulations that hardly anyone understands. I mean, this is the time for uniform leadership from the federal government. We can't just kick everything back to the states. They don't know enough. They don't know it works. We know there's no magic bullet against COVID-19. Hey, but we do have some regular bullets. So far, the best centralized responses come not from Washington, but from Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce. Thanks to Benioff, we know that you need masks for everyone, aggressive hand washing, social distancing, testing when people are symptomatic, and contact tracing to pinpoint new outbreaks. There it is, guys. This is all we got. All right? This is it. The numbers on masks, though, are stunning. Get this. If 80% of the population wear masks that are, let's say, 60% effective, because we know that not more than that, new infections will plummet to less than 10% of where they are now. Put everybody in masks, and COVID-19 starts to feel more like a bad flu season. Of course, not with morbidity. It's far worse. The numbers go down even more when you add that social distancing, like you see in those pictures of the newly reopened Shanghai Disney, where everyone's at least 1 meter apart. Hey, make them 6 feet apart. It's even better. We got to face some facts here, though. We can order more masks. I wish we had the really good ones, but we can get the ones, the KNs and stuff. We don't have enough guidance from Washington, particularly the CDC. For example, my restaurant, we're mostly planning to take the Tennessee pledge on table distance, no bar, aggressive questioning about illness, temperature when you come in. Financially, the Tennessee plan's a recipe for disaster, but it's all we got. And that's why we need another stimulus bill to get smaller retailers and restaurants through this difficult period. Imagine the volunteer state. Thank you, guys. Listen, I don't expect a strong economy for ages. I'm betting on a U with that bottom part being like longer than most people, like when you were writing cursive, you know. That's a term. But even a U might be out of reach without a strong set of rules from Washington that gives businesses a clearer sense of what they need to do to reopen safely. We just need some advice. So why do I suddenly think reopening is a good idea? I have enormous respect for Dr. Anthony Fauci. He says it could be disastrous. But here's the problem. The whole point of the lockdown is to buy time for the federal government to build out testing and contact tracing. But if the government's not doing that with alacrity, we're buying time for nothing. I want what Fauci wants, a more aggressive federal response. But at this point, wishful thinking. Consider the cost. Without another bailout, a continued lockdown will cause a wave of defaults across this country, something that could potentially take down the banks, turning a health crisis into a financial crisis. And come on, you see the way the bank stocks trade. You know those dividends look like they're in jeopardy, right? The Federal Reserve have been very good at preventing a credit freeze, now they're buying some ETFs and bonds. But they're not omnipotent. We already have 14.7% unemployment. Forget it. We got 14.7% unemployment a month ago. It's probably much worse now. That could wreck the whole economy for years to come. Too many revolvers have been drawn, too many loans to car dealers, to retailers, to franchises, all of which are in jeopardy, which is why the bank stocks trade as if their dividends will have to be cut. It is inevitable unless we reopen the economy faster and do it right. What makes the situation even more urgent? It could be months or years before we get a vaccine. And we're going to hear from a vaccine company later on the show. And I think that's a little wishful, but who knows? We can't truly go back to normal until there is a vaccine. But we also can't afford to keep the economy shut down through 2021. That's why I think that we need to do the best we can to get as close to normal as possible while still taking the necessary precautions, including federal funds, so that people with pre-existing conditions who are at high risk of dying from COVID can keep staying home. Here's the bottom line. We need to seriously ask ourselves, what are we waiting for? I would love it if the government spent a fortune on testing and contact tracing, but you don't hold your breath. It's one thing to shut down the economy to buy time so the feds can contain this thing, but if they're not going to use that time, what is the point? We might as well try to reopen as safely as we can now to prevent a second Great Depression. Let's go to Camel in Illinois. Come on.
Thank you, Jim. It's Kamal from Chicago.
Right. I know. The third time's best. Third time's best. It's a charm. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to first thank you, Jim. I've been watching you for 12 years now, and I want to thank you for being one of the few people that says sell every once in a while, and I thank you for not panicking at the bottoms.
Thank you. I know I came back from that Super Bowl high, and everyone was making fun of me, but I said, this is the real deal, and I moved my family out of town. It was the best thing I ever did, although I miss them. You know, of course I miss them. I mean, came out wrong. Go ahead.
So I was too late to buy Amazon years ago, so I've been wanting to get something like that. So I got interested in JD.com as a Chinese Amazon. It seems to have done well. I'm hoping with the quarantine. And since China has opened up now, I'm hoping it does better. Also, a secondary is coming up in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong exchange. And the earnings are coming out Friday. Should I buy more of that?
No. Hey, look, you mentioned the stock to own, and that'd be Amazon. Alibaba is a close second for me, but it's Amazon. JD's had a bit of a move here. Hey, why don't we go to Alex in Texas? Alex, how about those nice things that Kamal said? But Alex, you're up.
Hey, Jim, sending you a big D booyah from Dallas, Texas, and shout out to Cowboys Nation. My question is about a company that is down.
I'd sell it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there an actual question involved or just denigration of my own country?
Hey, I can't help it that we're better than y'all, but you got the most recent Super Bowl, so you're up on that one.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say recent's the right word. Go ahead.
So my question is about a company that is down over 50% from their late 2019 IPO and has experienced tremendous revenue growth in a market that is vastly underpenetrated. While continuing to serve customers staying at home and even providing PPE to healthcare professionals on the front lines, they recently received a patent for their retail concept and treatment process, keeping their competition at bay and priming themselves for a surge in demand as more businesses are allowed to open up. They partner with healthcare companies like Aetna and United to help drive sales and recently announced another partnership with Anthem. Their product helps people look their selfie and Zoom best, and it's much more economical than their largest competitor.
Okay, so what?
What is your thought on Smile Direct Club?
On what? Smile Direct Club? That is the Cowboys of the market. That is the Cowboys. I mean, even Tony Romo would know that. Get Tony on. I got him on my speed dial. No, man, you're going to have to stay away from that. What can I say? That's no, you're not going to win a game in the division with Smile Direct. Not one single game. Did you hear me? Not a single game. Even if we don't play, you're not going to win any game. All right. On Mad Money tonight, I'm sitting down with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. How her new $3 trillion coronavirus aid package is hoping to help. Can you believe I actually think it's too small? Then Novavax is soaring today up over 60%. Why? Of course, because we hope that they have a vaccine for COVID-19. I'll talk with the CEO. And Logitech sales surge as working from home boosts demand. I've got the exclusive Smile Direct Club. That's what this is. Stay with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @JimCramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.